Brutal cross-examination, but one step closer to RICO. Hi, I'm Melva Pearson, also known as the Resident Legal Diva, and it's time for another Daily Diddy, bringing you daily trial updates from the P. Diddy trial until we get a verdict. So the day started off with the defense filing a motion for a mistrial, meaning that the case should be ended at this point and a new jury should be picked and start all over again. The reason why is because they said the prosecution allowed witnesses to get on the stand and lie, namely Brianna Bongalon and the whole dangling over the balcony incident and Cassie talking about the dangling incident. It was because during cross-examination, the defense basically showed her, hey, Diddy wasn't in town during the days you said that this happened, and all the other evidence that you talked about around that time basically said he wasn't substantiated. So on cross-examination, Jane talked about how Homeland Security agents had raided her house as part of the multiple warrants that were executed around all of Diddy's properties. She wouldn't talk to them. At that point, she was not willing to testify, and she had attorneys that were paid for by Diddy representing her. She talked about the fact that she still loves Diddy, despite this being a horrific situation. She talked about the fact that Dateline was one of his favorite shows, that he likes gospel music, that he introduced her basically to religion, and she actually grew spiritually as a result of him. She talked about, the tender times, I guess, in between that they had, and that she had deep self-esteem issues. Sadly, yeah, we kind of seen that play out, and that being with him in some ways helped her work on that. But the flip side is he was polyamorous, meaning multiple partners, and she was no longer okay with that. So in addition to the fact that basically she was in an open relationship with him without really agreeing or realizing it, she talked about how it was really hard for her to even break up with him because she had fell in love with him. And also he introduced her to a certain lifestyle. She fell in love with the lifestyle. And so she didn't quite, quote unquote, understand the terms of the relationship, meaning that she was always going to have to give him freak offs, hotel nights, whatever the case may be. She basically was trying to do all of these things because she wanted to fulfill her duties as a girlfriend. She wanted him to feel loved and safe, and she just wanted to give him everything that he wanted. Well, the defense also pressed her on the financial aspect, that, she was living this lavish lifestyle, that she was getting all these fancy bags and all of that. And she pushed back like, listen, the only thing I really walked away from in this instance was trauma, like, period, end of story. So there was that. But most importantly, which I'll kind of flash back to my video yesterday, Jane's most important thing was getting us closer to RICO, right? So remember, we had the testimony with regards to Kid Cudi and his car getting blown up, arson, predicate offense for RICO. You had Capricorn Clark talking about how she had a gun to her head by Diddy. That's armed kidnapping because she was not allowed to leave, and obviously a gun to your head, hi. But also, Jane talked about drug trafficking, and she was speaking to who? Yet again, Kristina Khorram, chief of staff, Diddy's chief of staff, okay? So she was talking with Kristina about bringing the drugs back and forth, and Kristina was helping arrange travel and all of that. So Kristina Khorram, right-hand woman to Diddy, is the one that's getting us to RICO because she knew everything that was going on. All right, y'all. See you tomorrow. Bye.